Hi, everybody. We're the Skeleton Crew. Welcome back to the Skeleton Crew, more like it, because we are officially back from our holiday hiatus. We hope that you all had a lovely holiday season. We probably did. We're due to the linear nature of time, this holiday season hasn't happened for us yet. But we know that James is taking more of an extended holiday season. He's been abducted by elves. They thought that he was working in their workshop and it escaped. So he went back up to the North Pole, and we are putting them in contact with the U.S. Embassy up there, and hopefully we're going to get him out. So
he's short. Do you get it? He's short.
Welcome back, everybody. We missed you. Hope you missed us. We'll find out in the view numbers. Especially because we are talking about a rather interesting fan favorite dinosaur today.
Iconic.
A very iconic one at that.
Indeed.
And a kind of ironically iconic one, because there is not much of this critter known. So yeah, well, let's jump right into this. Do we have any announcements to make, or is this just Dino time?
This is too far in the future for me to know if we have announcements at this time.
That's a good point. I mean,
an announcement.
What's your announcement, Dalton?
It's just that I meant to say this in the last video we recorded, which would have come out before the hiatus, but I forgot. And so I'm going to say it now, which is I want to give a special thanks to one of our patrons in particular, Black Spectral Pig, for giving a great tour of Salem, Massachusetts to me and my family when we came up to visit at the Thanksgiving holiday. If you're ever in Salem, I highly suggest to everyone go to do the trolley tour. It's a delightful way to see the town and learn about it. I had a great time.
Ask specifically for Black Spectral Pig.
Indeed.
I'm going to have to take a trip down to Salem at some point and see if I can go on the trolley tour and be the second of the crew to meet our friend. It sounds like you had a blast, and I really want to do it.
Yeah, it was a great tour. Like, I had an amazing time, and all my family did too.
Who are we? You might have forgotten during this time of hiatus. I was going to say another bit, but I can't think of anything. My name is Scott Johnston. I'm the vertebrate paleontology fossil preparator and technician at Harvard University's Museum of Comparative Zoology.
My name is Amelia Zietlow. I'm a PhD candidate at the American Museum of Natural History. Today, I am bitless in Seattle.
Well, my name's Alex Rubenstahl. I'm a PhD candidate at Yale University, and my attention is going to be shattered like glass for this entire video because they just announced a new Elden Ring game as of like 7 minutes ago. And a lot's happening.
A new Elden Ring game or a new Elden Ring expansion?
It's a standalone game, but somehow the Nameless King from Dark Souls 3 is in it. The community, it's fascinating. I'm not against it. I wish to understand.
Cool. So we'll probably hear from Alex about as much in this one about as much as we heard from him in Cryolophosaurus. So.
No, I'm being raptured away to liberate. No, I'm here, unfortunately.
Oh, he remains. And folks, I'm Dalton Meyer. I'm also a PhD candidate at Yale University. And I come to you today with a plea and with a promise, which is the plea is stop making gacha games and stop liking gacha games. And yes. The promise is if I ever make a game, it won't be a gacha game. But I also am proud to report another trillion awards to Balatro because it just won Best Mobile Game and one other award that came before that.
Game of the Year?
No, they haven't announced that yet. We're recording this episode, folks, while the Game Awards is happening. And I'm periodically checking in.
A series of advertisements. I'm going to steal that joke from some Muppets.
From the internet and then Statler and Waldorf. And a series of advertisements for gacha games, including the Players Award, the Players' Choice Award.
And together, we're the Skeleton Crew. All right. Today we're taking a look at Parasaurolophus. Dalton, would you release the crested beasts?
I would do so gladly, with gusto and a smile on my face.
Oh, Dalton, do you not have a batch of the... I guess you have some of the Dominion ones out already.
I made several batches exclusively of the movie skins.
Gotcha.
But tradition dictates I release a random batch.
Yes. I didn't see him in the hatchery, but like, oh man.
I actually like this one that got cooked up. This is really nice looking.
Yeah.
It's a bit, looks a bit like it has a sunburn, but we've all been there.
You know, I have to say, like, I know we always talk about how the Lambeosaurians in Evolution 2, like, really, really suffer from being obligate bipeds in the game. But I think that this one works the best. And that's probably because all of the other ones are based off of this skeleton, almost certainly.
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think we kind of have enough exposure to this one through the movies that this is Parasaurolophus. It kind of, in my mind, it's what Parasaurolophus looks like, for better or for worse.
Yeah. It is something that, like, I wonder if the whole perception of Parasaurolophus and, like, Lambeosaurs in general being primarily bipedal, I wonder if that's a misinterpretation of the second movie. Because we only ever see them running.
That's possible.
Because in the first movie, because they are technically in the first movie, they're by the lake with the Brachiosaurus at the beginning, they're quadrupedal at that point. They're walking around on all fours.
True.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
And then Jurassic Park 3 as well, it's this stampede of Parasaurolophus and Corythosaurus. So, like, yeah, they're always running, so they're always depicted as bipedal. But I guess to our viewers that might have let me say that again. To our viewers who this is their first episode of the Skeleton Crew, you might be wondering, what are we talking about? So Parasaurolophus, like most hadrosaurs, is thought to be what we call facultatively bipedal, in that it could walk on 4 legs and 2 legs when it wanted to, probably would have spent most of its time on 4 legs and would have gotten up on its back 2 legs if it was trying to run longer distances more efficiently and faster, like that, right on cue. Or if it was trying to look bigger to intimidate a rival or predator or see a farther distance.
Yes. And how that plays into the riddle of the Sphinx, we're not really qualified to say.
Yes, indeed.
But if you watch I think it's Oranosaur, no, not Oranosaurus, I think our Allura Titan video, we do have a discussion of facultative quadrupeds.
Yeah.
Which humans are.
It's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But what is also shockingly weird is the name of this guy. It's not weird. It's not weird at all.
No, but we got to segue somehow.
Yeah.
It is in that it's another... It's the kind of name in paleo where you just like tack on the equivalent of adjectives. Mm-hmm. So it just means near crested lizard because it is similar to a different hadrosaur, Saurolophus, that was named first and has a puny little pathetic crest.
And it's also not that similar to it.
No.
As we'll get into in the phylogeny. But it really is kind of a I guess in that sense, a plesiosaurus situation of, this is kind of like a lizard. And it's like, no, it's not.
This is kind of like a Saurolophus.
It's kind of like a Saurolophus. I mean, it's closer in that sense this time. But
true.
I always, when I was a kid learning about Parasaurolophus, I always thought the name near crested lizard was about like geographical distance. I thought it was like, they found it close to Saurolophus, and it was another crested lizard, but they already had the name Saurolophus. So they were like, oh, it's close to that one. So we'll call it the near-crested lizard. I mean, Saurolophus is known from North America as well, right? It's not just Asia?
I don't know.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought Saurolophus was North America and Asia.
Horseshoe Canyon.
Horseshoe Canyon, okay. So I guess it could be physically close to...
This.
Yeah. It could be physically close to Saurolophus as well.
We've developed here at the Skeleton Crew a very scientific measure and index called the Saurolophus Index, which tracks at any given point how close you are to Saurolophus. And if you enter the Parasaurolophus zone, you should be looking out, and you should be concerned. Absolutely.
And every time you don't see it, you should be asking, where is the Saurolophus?
Is Saurolophus the Poochie of dinosaurs?
I'm going to scream.
We may never know.
What's wrong?
That was a bad joke.
What's wrong, Scott?
Oh, gosh. All right, so Parasaurolophus, not Saurolophus, even though they are close. Parasaurolophus is one of those dinosaurs that just kind of ends up in everything. It has just kind of a quintessential dinosaur-y vibe to it. That big old long head crest, the plant eating, so it's always shown as being like the gentle giant sort of thing. It's also, again, one of those dinosaurs that we talk about that is way, 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 way bigger than you think it is. Always get the vibe that hadrosaurs are like horse size, and this guy's very, very much not. It's like 30 plus feet long, something like that. And one of the also very interesting things about Parasaurolophus is that we have next to none of these, despite coming from some very fossil-rich and well-preserving sites. Like Parasaurolophus walkeri, the type species, is from Dinosaur Park, and it's the only Parasaurolophus there. There's just one. It's a gorgeous one, but it's just the one. There are 3 other species of Parasaurolophus. Excuse me. There is Parasaurolophus certocrostatus, or Kertocrostatus. I've never been 100% sure how to pronounce that. Which I do believe that the name is very illustrative for that one, because I'm pretty sure that one just means short crest.
Yes, and I think that I had also never been clear on the pronunciation, but it's derived from like Kurt.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah.
That makes me think it's probably Kertocrostatus.
Kertocrostatus. Yeah, that makes sense. So that one is known for having, as the name says, a much shorter, kind of more circular crest. It's very like strongly curved, like it's almost following the shape of the back of the head there. And then there's also Parasaurolophus tubicin. It's also worth pointing out that all these species are from different places. Kertocrostatus is from the Kyparowitz Formation, the same place that Nasutoceratops is from in the game, and famously an incredibly inhospitable and hard to get to and hard to dig in location. Parasaurolophus tubicin is known from some pretty poor material. It's just a head crest, really, and like a little bit of the back of the head, which, I mean, Kertocrostatus is as well, but tubicin's even a little bit less than that. There's not as much skull material. It's mostly just a crest. That one is from the Kirtland Formation, which is the same place that Pentaceratops is from. In New Mexico. And then there is also the oddball, which is, I guess, the most recently labeled species of Parasaurolophus, which is Parasaurolophus Jayangensis.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. For the artist formerly known as Tyrannosaurus, and still known as Tyrannosaurus in Prehistoric Kingdom. It was discovered well, I mean, the animal was also discovered recently, period. It was discovered in 2000. I mean, recently, air quotes, but only within the last, what was it, year or two? It was actually determined from a phylogenetic analysis to be very deeply nested within Parasaurolophus.
Granted, I don't know how deep it could be nested given that there's only 3 other species. So just it was found within.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
It was found to be within the genus. And that one is very interesting for a couple reasons, because first, you might be able to tell from the name, especially the species epithet, that one's from Asia. One's from China/Russia, because I believe it was found almost exactly on the border. I think it's on the China side, though. Yeah, it was on the bank of the Amur River. And interesting as well is it's from much more recent than the other species. The other species of Parasaurolophus are from 75-ish million years ago, and Tyrannosaurus is from right at the end. It's from 66.
Right at the butt end of the Maastrichtian.
Right at the butt end.
Sorry, also not to distract. Did you guys see the Witcher 4 trailer?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Shut the
It just came up on my timeline. I'm not going to watch it right now.
It was one of the first ones they did.
I'm not going to watch it right now. I'm not going to watch it right now. I'm not going to watch it right now. I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it right now.
I'm trying to find the paper that puts Tyrannosaurus in Parasaurolophus, because I don't know how widely adopted that's been amongst hadrosaur workers.
Well, and I wonder.
Oh, sorry.
We've had this discussion before about who's to say what a genus is, because it's even if you find something quote unquote within a genus, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the same genus or that it should be sunk. Because of course it's going to be nested to some extent. It's a cladogram, so. But not being familiar with where they find it, I can't.
So I found the paper.
Okay.
It's from 2014. And in this analysis, they find essentially a clade where Ceratocristatus is at the bottom, then Tubicen, and then Tyrannosaurus is the sister to Walkeri. And the simple solution there in this case is, and you can just go for it, or you can wait for more analyses to either support or reject this. But I mean, it's pretty far up into what we consider Parasaurolophus, so I don't know that it's going to be necessarily disputed by other analyses, this position. There's 2 solutions, which in this case is either make Tyrannosaurus just another species of Parasaurolophus and just drop the genus, which is one fine thing to do. You could also give new generic names to Ceratocristatus and Tubicen. Which would be the fun move. But probably not actually all that conducive to stability of the taxon and communication of science.
Yeah. Well, and are they, even if they're coming out separately, are they different enough to justify another genus? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know, I said this 5 minutes ago, but we've had this discussion a couple of times. There is no, unlike a species, which most people kind of have a sense of what that should be in the fossil record. There's no rules for when to decide what's a new genus or not. Most
Besides,
people,
monophyletic ones.
Well, even monophyly, like we're working, the fossil record's incomplete. We don't know what we're missing. I would argue that, and like these analyses are dependent on the data that you put into them. So most of the time, yes, but sometimes, for example, Yorgi comes out in a polytomy, arguably monophyletic with Clydastes. That thing is not Clydastes, but that's a result of the analysis.
Oh my god, I didn't know Yorgi was poly.
Yes. But like I think like my point here is like theoretically, yes, a genus should be monophyletic, but like with fossil data, you're not always going to get that clear of an answer. And like the bigger point I'm trying to get at is like there can be structure within a genus if you have enough species. Without breaking my own embargo. Like I did an analysis of a group that shows a lot of structure, and there's a clear bifurcation that you could argue represents two different genera. Mm-hmm. Oh, what's the point if they all kind of look the same? I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm getting at is like everyone has a different kind of threshold for what constitutes a different genus. Mm-hmm. There is no set rule for it other than it should be monophyletic ideally, but in some cases you might not get that. Especially if the genus is monotypic or only represented by one species. You might get it kind of within another group, but that could be a result of just the data set, not necessarily, meaning that it's the same genus if it's different enough. But again, who's to say what's different enough?
Indeed. Well, on the topic of species, one of the things that I was curious about when we were looking at these critters is that the eagle-eyed of you might have noticed that this is getting out of hand. Now there's two of them, in that there's two models in the game. There's the classic one and the Dominion one. That kind of has a bit of a longer, straighter crest and the blue streaks on the face and stuff. Kind of a longer head as well. Very good. Very good, Alex. Just a bit of banter. So I was looking a little bit earlier to see if I could possibly do a paleontology and overlay these skulls in left lateral view. Doing the thing. And honestly, it seems like the Dominion model is a little closer to a classic walker-eye. Because I was originally thinking that, like, oh, maybe the Dominion one could be with that longer, straighter crest. Maybe that one could be Tubicin. And maybe the classic one could be walker-eye. And it really kind of seems like the Dominion one is a whole lot closer to walker-eye, at least in terms of, like, crest shape and stuff. The shape of the head's a little bit off, but not by that much. And the classic movie one is, honestly, it kind of doesn't match any of them, really. The crest is a little bit too short and too curved to be from walker-eye, but not short and curved enough to be from Ceratocristatus, and it just kind of doesn't match Tubicin at all. So I had the thought of like, I wonder if one of these guys could more closely match Tyrannosaurus. I want to see what that critter looks like, because it's very frequently shown, including in Prehistoric Kingdom, that Tyrannosaurus has a very long, very straight head crest, and that's normally been one of the defining features that's shown paleo art as being like, oh, this is Tyrannosaurus, not just Parasaurolophus. And guess what we don't have of Tyrannosaurus? The head crest. I described it to my fellow crewmates here. Of if you look at the skull, I mean, the kind of what's left of the skull, it's a pretty beat up specimen. I mean, it does seem like it's like I trust the work of the researchers that it's probably Parasaurolophus are very closely related to it, but like the big diagnostic feature of it, it looks like you just took the skull, grabbed it by the head crest, and then just ripped the front of its face off and its beak. It's kind of gnarly. It's like someone did a Mortal Kombat finisher to it. But yeah, we just don't know what the head crest looks like on it. So this is a long-winded way of saying that essentially, I remember that there was a bit of a debate back when Dominion started of like when we got the first trailers for Dominion, when we saw the new Parasaurolophus model, that it was kind of one of the rare moments that almost everybody on Paleo Twitter just kind of went, oh, wow, this is very nice. What a lovely design. And then there were a couple folks that were just like, oh, this looks weird. This isn't actually accurate. It actually does seem, at least from doing the gold standard paleontological research, which is laying skulls in left lateral view over each other and messing with the transparency until you see something and going, yes. It does seem like the Dominion one's a little bit closer to Walker-Eye.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice when a plan comes together. Now, viewer.
Indeed. Especially also because to tip my hand, this is one of the few cases where I think the Dominion model is head and shoulders above the other one.
Yeah.
I really like this design, but the Dominion model is so literally really my only complaint about it is I wish that it had a little bit more color differentiation throughout the skin. Namely, I wish that the head crest was specifically brighter, and like I kind of wish that the blue was restricted to the head crest. Like I wish that there was a way that I could combine those two skins that are synced up there and have a blue head crest with white stripes. I think that would look absolutely lovely. But yeah, this thing's so nice. It's so pretty.
It's really, really great. The Dominion Parasaurolophus really looks so nice. God, it's stunning. I love the white streak under the eye as well. It's just, it looks like such a real animal. It's so pretty. God, gorgeous. Absolutely, absolutely stunning. It even has a little bit, can I take a look at the beak a little bit? Can we take a look at that? Take a closer look at that snout.
Take a closer look at that snout. What keeps dying as well?
Things, so let me show you. Things wander off over here.
Oh,
and then they just don't have water. And I'm like, you could come back. I could make water over there, but I kind of want to punish them for
those ones. So no. I understand what's going on there. Those ones are the ones that were formerly Tyrannosaurus. They're trying to go back to China. They're trying to migrate back to their native range. And the game is not letting them. There we go. Yeah, I want to see, did they give it a little bit of a Ramifica going down? Maybe a little bit? Not much. It looks better than this one.
It does look better. It's not quite like the full shelf, but it does look better than this.
It's also that, like, I really like the detail as well that between the two of these, the older one, it does that thing that we see a lot of the times with kind of older depictions of Lambeosaurians, where they kind of make the keratinous beak just continue up into the head crest and just encompass the head crest. And the Dominion one doesn't do that.
I think that's honestly keyed into a big reason why I like this one so much, and I hadn't really given it thought.
That boy be scaly.
Yeah, he do be in fact scaly,
and accurately scaly as well. Yeah. We have at least one skin impression of Parasaurolophus, and it seems like they are just entirely uniform little tuberculate scales, and that's just kind of what this looks like. Would
have been nice to touch, like a some kind of
like a basketball.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just like in the way that a large lizard, like a tegu, like where they're smooth but kind of like bumpity.
Ooh, can we see the forelimbs on this guy?
Oh no, do they have mittens?
Do they mitten it? No.
Zoom.
Kind of.
Hang on. Let me see if I can get
one drinking or something. Oh my god!
Oh, wow.
Okay, they still have little nubbins free. Yeah, but like the screams when you.
Let me look at the old one.
It just has hands.
It's just got
those are straight up hands.
Yeah, it's just got the kind of paddles that most of the Lambeosaurians in the game have. They actually did kind of. It's not perfect.
It's not perfect,
but it's an impressive touch.
God, I love this design so much. Oh, it's so pretty. Man, well, we've been dancing around phylogeny a little bit, talking about the different species and stuff.
I like that canted angle.
It's a Dutch angle. To show that this Parasaurolophus is twisted and crazy.
Whoa. We're out of this world. All right, we're done with this.
That one's from Battleship Earth. Or what is it? Battlefield Earth?
Battlefield Earth, yeah.
Battlefield Earth.
The time for jokes is over, though. It's time to get serious and talk about...
The time for phylogeny is now.
Phylogeny.
Ooh, little social animation. Oh, never mind. Just screaming.
An antisocial animation.
That's everything that a mosasaur would do. Alex, would you like me to tee you up a third time?
Sorry. The robot game won Game of the Year.
What robot
Astrobot.
Game? Oh, that's okay.
I'm very happy for that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
All right. Folks, it's phylogeny time. Now, you may have heard us throwing around.
I think I'm really starting to like this Parasaurolophus.
You are witnessing a great becoming. Ornithischians are divided into many groups. They're the Thyreophrins, the spiky boys, the Ceratopodums, which are our ornithopods, and marginocephalians. And if we continue our way up the ornithopod tree, we go from little bipeds to larger facultative bipeds, iguanodontians, and eventually entered the promised land of hadrosaurs. Folks, I've been plugged into the big hadrosaur plan. I've seen the Maastrichtian. It's beautiful. Folks, they develop hoofs and complex dental batteries. And within Hadrosauridae, there are two major divisions. The Saurolophines, these are the soft crest ones that don't have big silly tubes in their face, and then the Lambeosaurians, which are bony crests with big silly tubes in their face. And their skull bones do all sorts of terrible things, which we've talked about before. Within this group, there are many smaller subdivisions. Centausaurians, which are generally considered to be some of the more primitive ones. The Corythosaurians or Lambeosaurians, the ones that have Lorotitan, Corythosaurus, and Lambeosaurus. And sisters to that group are the Parasaurolophines, which are sparsely populated by this. And I think, and depending on who you ask, one or two other things. That's it. I mean, most of this hadrosaur diversity is showing up halfway through the late Cretaceous period. They are here for a moment.
I do also want to point out that you said that the two groups of hadrosaurs are Lambeosaurians and Saurolophines. It is worth mentioning that, it's worth mentioning that one of the Parasaurolophus died. But it is worth mentioning that the group Saurolophines gets its name from Saurolophus, that Parasaurolophus is named after. So it is the So Saurolophus, that this thing is close to, is on the other side of the hadrosaur family tree from Parasaurolophus, which is funny how that works.
Oops.
Bum, 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 ba-da, 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 ba-da.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm doing my General Grievous cough. It's fine. It doesn't matter. All that matters, folks, is that's where they go in the tree.
Yeah.
That's that. There's not a lot to phylogeny. Like they appear to have a Laurasian distribution. They show up in North America and Asia, and there's some maybe in Europe and Africa. Not Parasaurolophines, but Lambeosaurines more generally.
None from South America?
No, there are Cretosaurines from South America.
Gotcha.
And how they got there is... All right, I'm going to go on a little soapbox. Hello. Why do they... Like, no one really knows what a soapbox is. Anyway, it's just like, it's a weird thing. It's kind of...
It's a box of soap.
Again, I'm distracting myself.
A sub-soapbox.
I'm getting
on a smaller soapbox.
Another soapbox on top of my soapbox. I'm now stepping down off the littler soapbox onto my normal soapbox. You've probably seen like those cool paleo maps of the continents and like shallow seaways and stuff. Like the continents. Like this is how, the positions of continents at different times in Earth's history. And we here in the land of paleontology like to investigate something called paleobiogeography. And this is the distribution of life, bio, over the globe, geo, in deep time, paleo. This is a field fraught with assumption, to the point where I consider most of it fake. But that's not really important. Not to this argument. What I'm going to say here is those maps you often see reconstruction are best guesses. At any given point in time in Earth's history, we do not have a complete global sample of the sedimentary record, and we have no idea what most of these coastlines look like beyond like sections we're sampling. We can make large inferences across contiguous geological units, and we can report in some areas with some degree of fidelity, like what the coastline looked like at X point in time. There's like a whole issue between whether a sequence is, transgressive, if it represents like, a change of habitat or, like sea margin change. It doesn't matter. The point, what all this preamble is for is that, there could have been a chain of like weird, shallow volcanic islands between North and South America that facilitated distributions of like Cretosaurs in the Cretaceous. Like, right, they have to get to South America, and most of their fossil record is from the late Cretaceous of North America when those two land masses were separated. So like, you might see those maps and be like, how could they get there? They would have to float across on a gigantic, mat of vegetation. That seems unlikely. And you're correct, it does seem unlikely. For an animal of that size, I would say it's more than reasonable for other smaller groups. But also, just keep in mind, like, just like the fossil record, are those maps you see reconstructed of the distribution of Earth's landmass and exactly what those coastlines look like in the deep past is again a inference and is full of assumptions. It's not fake. I don't want to say it's fake because it's not. Right, like the Western Interior Seaway is real. We know, and like we have a good idea on like what the coastlines and that look like, but it's entirely possible that little chains of islands existed where things could disperse over and stuff like that. That's all. I'm getting off my soapbox.
No, very nice. That was a good soapbox.
A paper came out actually, I think yesterday.
Of the soapbox?
No. About dinosaur diversification rates through time. Someone looking at it. I think it was Riddle.
No, I don't think it was Riddle.
Doesn't matter. But the point being, like, and it was an interesting point, and something you don't usually think about, but right, it's like, hey, sometimes the radiation of all these bird groups is treated as having happened in Asia 125 million years ago. But that's just when we're picking up the record. Like, it's entirely possible that all of those groups are already distributed from like an event that happened 5 million years earlier that we're not seeing, that's happening in another part of the world. Like, it's very hard to figure out where like clades actually originate beyond like enormous regional things. Good paper.
I think it's by Phil Mannion.
Mannion, yes, thank you.
It is a good paper.
Well, okay. I think it's high time that we move on to what these guys keep screaming about, or rather keep screaming with.
Scott,
let's talk about that head crest.
It sounds like you're looking for a segue.
Yes, I am. I'm desperately grasping at straws to make a segue. So, undoubtedly, the most iconic feature of Parasaurolophus is that head crest. And quite famously, and if you're watching this channel, you probably have heard a bunch of fun historic interpretations of what Parasaurolophus would have used that head crest for. Everything from back when hadrosaurs were thought to be kind of swamp living amphibious duck things, to being like a snorkel so they could breathe underwater, which I have no idea why that idea stuck around for so long. Did literally no one check to see, hey, the end of this thing is solid?
Was that an idea spread by actual scientists or by people who saw the fossil and thought that looked like the snorkel?
That's a good point. It was passed around by like 18 from 19 teens paleo Twitter. No, I actually don't know when Parasaurolophus was discovered.
Is this the 20th century equivalent of a paleo meme where they're only looking at it in left lateral view and don't see the nostrils?
Maybe. Sorry, go on, Dalton.
No, I was going to say, I would say yes, but apparently, and I really, actually, I'm going to try and dig and find this while other people do this discussion, but according to Wikipedia, the snorkel idea was proposed by Alfred Sherwood Romer.
Oh,
no way.
Famed, really good anatomist. So I'm going to try to find more information.
I wonder if he thought it was a soft tissue thing, like if like a reverse trunk situation.
Maybe. Or
a trunk was proposed.
My thought was that like maybe it wasn't like a snorkel, but it was like like a scuba tank. So just very small.
But I don't think that that's the case, because I was going to say that was Halska's idea.
Why did any of these people think any of these things?
So there were also some definitely less silly ideas for what the head crest was used for, namely as a weapon for intraspecific combat. But upon closer analysis, it seems like this thing was used for a dual purpose of looking cool and making cool sounds.
Hootin and Hollerin.
Hootin and Hollerin and showing off while doing it, because like this is a very, very prominent structure. It was definitely doing some sort of sexual display. It does seem like other lambeosaurs as well, this crest grows quite a bit as they grow, and seems to, I think on some other lambeosaurs, the head crest seems to develop around the time that we would expect them to be reaching sexual maturity. So it would be a good sexual signal.
And we don't have many of these things at all. We don't have any like little baby Parasaurolophus that would tell us if
we have one.
Or is there one? Is it? And what's it like? Is it a baby? Does it have like a little nubby?
It's about a year old.
Okay.
Estimated to be about a year old. It's a gorgeous skeleton.
Where the hell is it? Why haven't I seen this?
It's at the RAM. It's the ALF Museum. I'll throw it in chat.
Yeah.
The Royal Ontario Museum.
It's a museum for ants.
Here you go, Amelia. It's in Discord.
Ooh, it's crispy.
It is, but there's like a good amount of it.
Yeah. Okay. And that's supposed to be Parasaurolophus?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Hold on. Let me look at the... Okay. I see. At first, I'm only being... My hesitation came from I thought the crest was coming out of the wrong spot, but I guess it does show up there, and then they've got a little shelf of head behind it, which is very stupid. Mm-hmm. But okay. Interesting.
But we do have juveniles of other lambeosaurs. And
yeah, no, I knew that. I was just wondering.
Yeah. But so also, Dalton, have you found anything on Romer yet?
I have.
Oh God, what can you share with us?
So this is from the textbook Vertebrate Paleontology by Alfred Sherwood Romer from 1933, an advanced textbook on vertebrate paleontology. And this is, I will say, incorrectly attributed on Wikipedia to the page number of the textbook, although perhaps they're looking at a different version. They say page 491. There is no page 490. There's no text on that page of this edition. But on page 199, going into 200, I'll perform a reading today. Our reading for today is from the Book of Romer, chapter Dinosaurs.
Everyone open your Book of Romer to chapter Dinosaurs.
The appearance of numerous crested types was a peculiar feature of Trachodont history. In some forms, such as Gripposaurus, a peculiar swelling, a sort of Roman nose, developed above the external nares, here situated well up the forehead. In Corythosaurus, we find a peculiar thin, hollow, dome-like structure capping the skull. This was shaped like a rooster's comb, but formed of bone, the premaxillae and nasals being the elements concerned. In Lambeosaurus, figure 18-2b, this crest was present but smaller, and there was an addition of a backwardly directed horn-like prolongation of the same bones. While in Parasaurolophus, the crest was absent, but the backwards projection was a very long tubular structure, formed entirely by the premaxillae and nasals, which thus stretched the entire length of the skull. The details of these particular crests and prongs are imperfectly known, but seemingly they formed part of some peculiar type of breathing apparatus. It will be noted that they were composed solely of the bones originally surrounding the nostrils. Quite possibly, the crests were air storage chambers, which permitted the head of these amphibious forms to remain underwater for some time while the animal was feeding. The backwardly directed, quote, horn of some of these forms is known to have contained a pair of tubes, and it is not impossible that these opened at the end to give the animal a means of breathing while the skull itself was totally immersed.
No, it's not, Romer.
It's not possible that that is the case. However, it's unclear. With respect to the snorkel, I'm going to try to be charitable here, and I need to look up another photograph. But yeah, it's unclear if he's directly talking about Parasaurolophus or making a broad generalization about what would come to be known as Lambeosaurian hadrosaurs, and his figure 182. Literate much? 182b is a drawing of Lambeosaurus, and the little backwards prong has a divot at the end that kind of looks like a hole, and I almost wonder if the specimen's broken there. And so now I'm going to try to find a photo of that specimen and see, because it's possible he wasn't ever talking about Parasaurolophus being a snorkel, but was talking about Lambeosaurus being a snorkel.
Oh, also, I was wrong. Halskasmoska did not think that it was a reservoir for storing air. Osmoska thought that it might have housed salt glands.
Huh.
Oh, right, because the proposal of hadrosaurs is being semi-aquatic.
Yeah, but why do you need all of that for a salt gland? Why don't sea turtles have it? Like, right?
They lived in the salt mines.
We're just having a bit of a laugh here.
Indeed.
I'm just...
Okay. Hang on. Everyone calm down.
No.
Because, and I Amelia, if you happen to have a better photo than the ones online, it would be appreciated, of the Lambeosaurus skull at the AMNH that's on the display, because it's behind glass. But from what I could tell from these images from behind glass is that at least that particular specimen of Lambeosaurus, the backward prong of the crest, the prong of it all, there's like these two dorsal furrows that are kind of open, and that might be taphonomic, or it might just indicate that in life that was not like completely ossified and was kind of covered over. And those furrows may also not even be they may be external and not continuous with the internal air passages. But my suspicion is that those open furrows is what Romer saw and thought, oh, maybe the backwards tip of this thing was open, and then it could have had like a fleshy nostril kind of opening, and then it would have had an air passage on the back of its head to act as a snorkel. And I don't think, interpreting charitably, that Romer was seriously suggesting that Parasaurolophus's crest was a snorkel, more so an air bladder that was not open at the end.
I'll see if I have any pictures of it. I don't know if I do, though.
Well, Now hang on. I may be getting less charitable.
Oh, no.
Give me a moment.
Give him a moment. He's becoming less charitable.
To be mean. I think the Parasaurolophus holotype actually also has these furrows that kind of run along the skull.
Yeah.
The side of the crest. And I think it may have also contributed to that, where Romer thought, oh, maybe those could be an opening into the nasal passage. They are not.
Let's laugh at him, folks. Everyone laugh at a man who's been dead for some time.
They are not, but I would, if I was being very nice, which I like to be. That's very conceited. What a great thing for someone to say. But to carry on that train of thought for a moment, if I were to be nice and charitable to Alfred Sherwood Romer, which I am inclined to be, I would say that probably Lambeosaurus was the bigger inspiration for snorkel idea than Parasaurolophus, but especially this old photo before it maybe like more prep was done. I'll put it in the Discord. I could see where someone might get the idea that there's a hole back there. Reader beware, there is no hole back there.
Yeah.
This has been the Snorkel Power Hour in our daily reading. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
So, thank you, Dalton, for that. Very much so. I'm going to have some strong words for Romer Hall at Harvard when I go into work tomorrow. Oh my God, they're all so dumb. Jesus.
Hey.
I'm sorry. I was being mean.
Don't talk about our patrons.
Oh, they don't have food.
Oh.
Over here. They need the ground nut.
Brother,
Same.
Brother.
may I have some ground nut?
Okay. So, It has been... So, as you can tell, it has been widely discredited that these crests were made for anything but honking and looking good. But one of the things that I was very curious about when we were initially going to look into this is if you've been a dinosaur-obsessed kid around the internet for as long as I have, and possibly even less, you will probably have come across this alleged sound of a Parasaurolophus. That it circles around every once in a while, and hell, it's circling around on TikTok at the moment. Well, if TikTok is still a thing when this video comes out, because every once in a while, some of those videos go around of like, this is what T-Rex sounded like, and it's just pitched down bird noises. Like, scientists have proven this. This is what it would have sounded like in the Cretaceous, sort of thing. And like, yeah, a lot of those are literally just pitched down bird noises. There's not really science that goes into that. Although I would probably say that if you were trying to make dinosaur noises for a video game, start with that rather than like mixing together lion roars and stuff. Because it sounds cooler and it's probably a little bit closer, even though, as we've discussed before, birds have their own unique way that they make sound that is different from at least what we know that non-avian dinosaurs would have done. And, oh, hello. Hi. Oh my God. He almost stopped the recording.
Yes.
He stepped on the mouse and it was end session for all.
End session for all, King?
Oh my God. Thanks, Jake. So, yeah, you might have heard reference to this alleged, like, most accurate dinosaur sound. And we will probably play it in the video while we were talking about this. And I wanted to figure out, where did this come from and how did they make it? So the answer to one of those questions was way easier to get than the other. Namely, that this sound comes out of a really interesting project from Sandia National Laboratories. Now, you might know, Sandia National Laboratories is not a paleontological university or anything. They're an energy lab, as far as I know. They're an energy research lab. And it seems like back in 97, they're in New Mexico, right?
Sure.
As far as I know, yes, because when I first heard about this, it was at a museum in New Mexico.
Yeah. So it seems like this was kind of a serendipitous thing that happened, namely that I'm checking my stuff. It is, yeah, it's in Albuquerque.
Did you take a wrong turn there?
I did indeed, and I wound up in this channel. But so it seems like this project probably came about serendipitously from the discovery of Parasaurolophus tubicin in New Mexico. And Sandia had a CT scanner at the time. And this was, tubicin was discovered in 95. And so it seems like these guys, actually, apologies. They didn't scan it at Sandia. They scanned it at the hospital in Albuquerque. So these guys came together and CT scanned this Parasaurolophus crest to see if they could take a look at the internal structure of the crest and figure out what sound that these guys could have made. Namely, when I say these guys, that would be Carl Digert and Tom Williamson. And they found something really interesting, even though their scan was kind of trash. I was able to actually find the specification or a report of the specifications of their scan. It was 350 slices with a resolution of 3 millimeters. So not that great. But they were able to get something good enough. I find it really interesting because a lot of these articles are written. These are articles from 1997. So the way that they're talking about like segmenting and reconstruction is very funny because it seems like those words weren't just like really in use yet. So they kind of just didn't have the terminology to talk about how they were separating the bone from the matrix digitally. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. But they were able to make this digital musical instrument, and we're able to run it through some tests, the nature of which tests I wish I could know a little bit more about, but it seems like they only talked about this at SVP in 98, and determined a range of different frequencies that this crest could make. Now, if you listen to that video that we played earlier or might play again, you'll notice that at the beginning of the video, it starts out with these very low, kind of almost atonal frequencies that just sound like construction equipment moving in the distance or something. They're just kind of like the sound of something being pushed across a floor, and kind of resonating. And then it gets into the big loud honking noises. I was never really 100% sure why that was the case, but turns out that was because they didn't know, they did not assume that dinosaurs would have had a voice box, larynx. So those original frequencies that they made were simply from basically passing air through the hollow tubes of this crest and just making a low whistling noise from simply that. And then the louder honking noises are from the simulation of vocal cords and like actively making a call during those times. And I think that the last series that has like the 3 different notes that are at different pitches are simulating the range of vocalization that could happen there. I heard something fall in the other room. I'm checking something.
Disaster strikes. Much like disaster struck the holotype of Parasaurolophus, which was hit by a tree or something and broke its back.
Because it was only ever presented at an actual in-person SVP talk, I don't know if I directly buy that sound or not. It seems like the people who did it knew what they were doing, but it was really early days of CT. And I very, very much want to just know more about the techniques that went into like simulating the vocal cords and stuff. Because it sounds really, really interesting. And I know it's something that I've heard a couple... Actually, this sound has very much reared its head recently in that Dead Sound, the David Armsby videos of the Dinosauria feature, and Sauria as well, feature Parasaurolophus a couple times, and he always goes out of his way to include that sound as the sound for Parasaurolophus, which I really like because it's the only scientifically based dinosaur noise that we know of. But yeah, I wish that I was able to know a little bit more about it.
Someone has to have rescanned some Parasaurolophus recently.
Oh, trust me, I'm trying to find them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine they wouldn't have, but I don't know. I mean, and also on this note, if you
Tiss. It's music.
Now I gotta regain my whole train of thought. Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
The Field Museum. That's where I was going. Should you get to visit the Field Museum, they have one of the Parasaurolophuses, and they've got a little model that shows how theoretically the tubes might be arranged in the head. And they've got a little thing that you can pump and make it honk at you, and it sounds more like the vocal or the voice box-less version of the sound, because that one is literally just you are pushing air through the model. But it's similar to that, where it's kind of a honk, but not really. And like, I can't, there's no way that giant hollow thing on their heads did not affect what they sounded like. It's just a matter of how.
Exactly.
Because the thing that's harder to simulate or get a handle on is the soft tissue situation and how that would have affected the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is also worth noting that David Weishampel very famously made basically a Parasaurolophus horn. He like physically made one, and when I say horn, I don't mean like the projection on the crest of like he made it into an instrument and kind of just like put a bunch of PVC pipe together in roughly the same like diameter and length as a Parasaurolophus crest, and would take it around and show classrooms and like blow into it, and it sounded like a didgeridoo, which is fun. It very much reminds me of something out of Dinotopia. I think that there's at least one like Dinotopia painting with someone with a musical instrument playing alongside a Parasaurolophus. But yeah, it probably would have sounded like that. Well, on that note, again, but Tiss, I'll stop it.
Hey, Scott. I think it's charming.
Oh, thank you. Do we want to take it to the species viewer and round this whole thing out?
I think that we do.
And while we're going, I'll do a last little fun fact. Amelia, you were going to say something.
It might be the same thing, because you were away, but Dalton mentioned the holotype and the broken spine.
Oh,
we
okay.
kind of mentioned it and then never talked about it again.
Okay. You mentioned it, that it kind of just needs to be mentioned.
Yeah, the holotype, which is on display, at least the postcrania is on display, the heads and collections of the Parasaurolophus walkeri is on display at the Royal Ontario Museum. And it has a very obvious, like, notch in its back where, like, the vertebrae, instead of all being in a line like they're supposed to be, are like a V, which is not normal. Probably didn't feel good. And yeah, so how that happened, I don't know. There have been various proposals for what might have happened. Could have been a neck injury because the neck muscles would have been attached there. So that would have been bad. I think that's kind of the worst case scenario if your own neck rips your spine. It's not a good thing to be.
And that
I don't know. It means you're really strong.
I'm giving a whole new meaning to ripped.
You're chiropracting yourself and just accidentally ripping your spine.
Exhale.
It's like, Mom, watch this. Breaks own spine.
Gets a little too into a rock concert or something. I don't know. Obviously the other options are like some kind of trauma. Like we have, there's artwork of like one of them getting hit by a tree or something in that spot.
Well, actually, Amelia, it does seem the Filippo Bertozzo's paper on this kind of proposes both. That essentially it seems like the solution that he comes up with is that it seems like it was a large blunt force injury to the neck of the animal, but that we traditionally depict Parasaurolophus and a lot of Lambeosaurs with much more slender necks than they would have had in life. They probably had, like, normally you see them as kind of this very elegant, very thin swan-like neck, and it seems like there was a lot of soft tissue that was kind of connecting the back of the head to the top of the spine there, or the top of the trunk there. And if there was a tree or some other large blunt object that fell there, it would have really pulled harshly on the neck musculature and ligaments, and probably would have been enough to break the neural spines off of those vertebrae and cause the damage seen there. So that's why the thought is that maybe a tree fell on it, but on the neck, and then it broke the vertebrae there just from the soft tissue pulling on them.
Yeah, because I remember one of you guys talking about this, like the way that one in particular is preserved as well, like between that one and the Corythosaurus and it might have been in Corythosaurus, like the way that they're always preserved with their necks up like that, like it might be because there's all this soft tissue connecting them, like they don't actually have a swan neck, it's just held up by the muscle and soft tissue and stuff. Mm-hmm. Which is pretty gross. I don't like that. Why would you still have a long neck then? Like, what are you doing?
It's like rabbits, right?
Yeah.
Rabbits kind of have a swan neck.
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
But it's just hiding in there.
Yep.
Oh.
I'm sorry for upsetting you.
So if you want to have a fun little paleontology Easter egg hunt, whenever you look at like toys of Parasaurolophus, you can see if they are based on the holotype, because you can see the pathology in them. A lot of toys of Parasaurolophus have a little dip in the spine, right at those dorsal vertebrae. Yeah, actually. So I'll show you. The Papa one does. I'll throw this in. I'll throw this in chat.
Chat, is this Papa?
I will add
take a
that
look.
a rabbit neck is not at all comparable to a hadrosaur neck. Like, that looks reasonable. Like,
No,
yeah,
it's
it's
not.
longer than you might expect, but that is nowhere near the silliness of a hadrosaur.
But yeah, you can see it on the Papo toy there. It's got the little dip. Here's another one. This one's from PNSO. That one actually almost looks pathologic, because it's like missing the little spiny bits there.
Yeah, I like that.
I could see that being an actual pathology, and having this not just be this is Parasaurolophus and we didn't realize that was a pathology, and being this is a toy of the holotype individual of Parasaurolophus, which I do like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that if you look around enough, you can actually, here's a much worse toy that you can see it on as well.
Look at that.
It's kind of neat that this is just a little feature that you can see.
And not to be back on rabbits, but that rabbit x-ray, I think why it looks like it's swanny is because the shoulder is pulled up, like the arm is pulled forward. And so it looks like it's more obscured.
They don't habitually, I think, hold them like a swan. There's just more neck in a rabbit than you would think there is.
Yeah. There's more neck in a cat than you think. Like,
True.
Whenever this one like melts onto the couch, like he goes slug mode and just lays with his neck stretched out as far as possible and all his legs like tucked under him, and it's like there's a lot of neck there.
I really like that. I really like that one video of the cat with its neck shaved when it just like sticks it out and it just goes like.
Yeah.
Go on, Amelia. Sorry, you were saying.
Do we think this Parasaurolophus survived this injury?
Seemingly yes. From Bertozza's work, it seems like there is a degree of bone remodeling. I heard that the estimate was like 1 to 3 months. It doesn't seem like this was directly the thing that killed it.
I'm sure it wasn't a good time.
Oh, I bet it sucked. I would not be surprised if this critter got by something else while it was recovering. Or might have just like died of infection or shock or something later on. I mean, it wouldn't have died from shock if it was months later, but...
Maybe it processed shock very slowly.
See, they were very stupid animals, and it finally realized that it was in shock 3 months later, and then it just flatlined and had the like flatlining heartbeat sensor noise from the Half-Life games when it just ragdolls. Like its strings were All right, shall we take this to the species viewer?
Why, yes, let's. Take me to the viewer, play Fortnite today.
Dalton, remember what James said about what God should do?
But God, yeah. I'm working on it.
Oh, don't say that. I am trying desperately to make God kill me.
I don't think he's visible because he's like on my lap, but the man is watching you guys pretty intently right now.
Let's start with the base.
The base para?
Yeah.
Are we doing them separately?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I definitely have separate ranks for them.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This one is fine. But I don't like love it. It's not like, oh yeah, now I like this animal. So I'll give it an A because like it's fine. It looks good. It's not offensive. The colors are really nice. My personal preference for Parasaurolophus reconstruction is I don't care how accurate it is. I love the big fin thing coming off.
The skin sail thing on the...
Yeah, because it's like, you know what? Why not? It's for display. It's a soft tissue thing. It's not totally implausible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it's coming from a place of, maybe they were amphibious, but like...
It's not actually. No, you're correct. It actually is coming from a place of it's a display thing, and it kind of looks like it's the head of a sail or something like that. But like, you're also a bit more on. There was a paper a little bit ago as well that said that there was indications of like more extensive soft tissue on the head crests of Parasaurolophus that wasn't like keratin. I don't think they definitively said like
don't care
a sail, but I'll take a look at that while you keep going, Amelia.
No, because I mean, tell you what, maybe call me crazy, but I think that's more plausible than a snorkel or a scuba tank. And so, like, as far as like retro reconstructions go, I really like it because like both of my favorite Parasaurolophus reconstructions have it. Those being the Fantasia ones and the what that book that I've talked about before that I had growing up. It was like everything you wanted to know about dinosaurs and more or something like that. And it just has like an A to Z of dinosaurs, and their Parasaurolophus is like gorgeous. It's like black with like white or light blue stripes and like and the fin thing on the head. It's so pretty.
I think I know what you're talking about. Oh, is that the Wayne Barlow book?
I don't know. Is it? It's got like a big ugly thing on the. I've seen it with mine has a white cover, but I've also seen it with a red cover. And there's like this big ugly thing that in the book is Megalosaurus or Megalosaurus or whatever the hell. I don't remember how we decided to pronounce that.
Unfortunately,
the first part of the book. Huh?
No. I was going to say, unfortunately, Alex's stupid pronunciation of that seems to be winning out, which is wrong.
My stupid pronunciation.
It's not.
What?
Of Megalosaurus.
Oh, Megalosaurus?
You say Megalosaurus every
James
time.
does.
I also say Megalosaurus.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Because it's fun.
Okay, anyways. No, but so like the book, people have found it before. Because I've talked about it before. But my copy, it's a book that I don't have out here with me because it's like literally falling apart. But it's like the first half of it is like general paleo stuff, and the second half is A to Z dinosaurs. it might be only one per letter, but that feels like it's not right. I don't know. And then there's also a small section on non-dinosaurs. But yeah, anyway, best Parasaurolophus reconstruction of all time, in my opinion. Anyway, all that is to say, this one does not achieve that, and does not provide anything that makes up for that. So it gets an A because it's fine. And it is very good, and I do like it, but it's just, it could be better. It could have been.
My favorite Parasaurolophus depiction also has a fin. It's the one from... Oh, I forget who the artist is off the top of my head. It's a very dramatic image. See if I can find it, because it's one that comes up pretty frequently. I'll see if I can find it when it's not my turn to talk. So we can get a move on with this. But I think that this model is fine. I think it's good. I'll give it an A. I think it does a decent job of being Parasaurolophus, and if it was the only Parasaurolophus in the game, I would use it very, very happily all the time, because Parasaurolophus is one of my kind of closet favorite dinosaurs. I think it's a very elegant looking animal, and I love that it is just a living musical instrument. Gets an A from me.
Is it Munex or is it Amelia?
Yes, it's Unix.
Oh. And we're just doing this one right now?
Just this one right now. Oh, I guess we should also say, James gave this an S.
This is an A for me. For most of the reasons people have already said. Most of the more effusive things I have to say are about the other one.
Is that all you have to say on the map?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, this one's also an A for me. I think I was along the lines of James, thinking I was going to give this an S because I like the design. I like it more in the movies. I feel like this one didn't translate quite as well. It's like, especially texturally, it's just kind of very... I don't know, something weird's going on, especially with like the leg and the side. Kind of strange. But I like the colors. I like almost all the color combinations of it. I like the little stripes on the leg, and the big stripe down the back is iconic. Like when I think of Parasaurolophus, this is the thing that comes to mind, is the one from the Lost World. It's just especially in color and kind of demeanor. I think it's really nice. Having spent a lot of time now looking at the Dominion one, this is diminished in my view. And I think that just knocks it down from what would have, if it was alone in the game, maybe would have been an S, to what's definitely not an S. It's an A for me. It's not bad. It's just not amazing. And especially looking at it, it's a kind of not the best representation of the design that you see in like Jurassic Park 3 and in The Lost World, which is really nice looking, at least to my recollection.
Well,
but now
onto the better one.
Yes. Oh, also, we're not going to talk about these, but I felt like it might be worth saying that, yeah, you can make them glow if you want.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that you could do that.
I don't like the bioluminescent Parasaurolophus skins, but
Me neither.
They exist. 3 nice variations on this one. Should we go with the movie one, or should we... I like this one the best. We'll do the movie one.
Yeah, so I think
I like the blue, but you're right. I do like that other one a lot, but the blue is
Crests is nice.
So nice. I really do wish, but I like the darker color of the other one, and the kind of more prominent white belly, and the kind of like red brown like chestnut color of it. The colors of the other one I like the best. I like better, but I can't abide a Parasaurolophus that doesn't have a nice flamboyant crest.
yeah. I'm sorry, I'm messing with my phone because I made a mistake and I zoomed out and now I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. S, easy, because it basically fixes all the not problems, but all the things that I thought were lacking in the other one. Like, it doesn't have a full fin, but it kind of does. Like, they give it a little bit of extra tissue behind the crest, which is nice. Stripes, I love stripes. The face is just like perfect, I think, because like it gives friendly deer or perhaps a horse. I really like the stripe coming down from the eye. I like the blue. I like the other colors are nice though too. I didn't realize that they had made other colors for it. For the game. Sorry, my animal was making noise. Yeah, it's an S. It's the other one, but just like better in every way, in my opinion.
Yeah, this thing's stunning. It is one of my favorite recent depictions of a Parasaurolophus, and it is, I think, the only new. It's the only revamped design of a dinosaur in the newer Jurassic series that I think is objectively an upgrade. I love this thing. It's gorgeous. It's an S tier.
I gave the other one an A with the intention of giving this an S. But I'm looking at it and I realized this was the correct thing to do because this is also easy S. I just love its little beak.
Oh, it's so nice.
I guess it's Ramtheca, but you know what I mean.
You can call it a beak. No one's gonna. The beak police aren't gonna get you.
They're breaking down my blue wall. No, easy S. Definitely this is my favorite hadrosaur in the game. This specific design.
Yeah, same.
We love it, folks.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my favorite hadrosaur in the game. It might be. Edmontosaurus is also great.
Edmontosaurus is up there.
It's hard to say. I like several hadrosaurs in this game. It's, when I think about the hadrosaurs, I'm like, I don't really find them tremendously interesting, but I do like them. I like looking at them. They're cool. And then you look at their skull anatomy and you're like, that actually is really interesting. And there's wonder in all of nature and in all of God's creation.
Isn't nature amazing?
Isn't nature amazing? And isn't it amazing that this is getting an S tier from me as well?
Not amazing at all. That's deserved.
It's an incredible design. It's gorgeous. And like, whereas the other one has that weird textural issue, this one I find looks really good from like every scale. It looks very tactile. It looks very real. It's like, I don't know, man. It feels like this is from like a PS5 game and the other one's from like a PS2 game. Mm-hmm. In the way that it's textured. And I don't know what happened there, but this looks so good. And I'm not one normally to be like, oh, I want my dinosaurs to be chunked up and beefy. In this case, though, they've kind of beefed up the torso, and it just looks really good. Mm-hmm. Especially the tail is huge.
It really is.
It's nice that they kind of fixed up the hands a little bit, made them nice. There's the 3 different color schemes of this, which all look really good. Frankly, if you wanted to be a little silly with it in your exhibit, you could have both and make them sexual dimorphs, and I wouldn't be upset by that.
I've done that.
But this is great. Just a really a good design in the movie and translated into a really great design in the game. Definitely S tier for me, and also S tier from James.
Indeed. Yeah. Alrighty.
I was gonna say, like, it also, like, just it looks so good in the movie as well.
It really does. It's one of the best looking ones in, like, the scenes that it's in. It's shot very well. I do think that in the movie they also do the thing where it's an obligate biped, which is still frustrating. But
it's mostly running.
No, but even in the bit where in the bit where they're running, then yes, of course. But even in the bit where he's like leading it back on a leash, it's walking on 2 legs, and I'm like, all right.
I don't pay attention to that kind of thing when I watch these movies.
Ring.
I like the sound.
It's good sound effects. Alrighty. So I think that puts base para in A tier and Dominion para in S tier. Very, very nice.
Sure does.
And we have but few dinosaurs left.
Oh my god, this is...
And we will see
Scary.
if
I
we
don't
get
like
another
this.
banger.
When we spin
Spin.
that,
we will.
for biotin collagen.
Get out of here. Get out of here. I clicked no ads.
Is this Pantene Pro V?
Oh my god.
Is it time?
No. Well,
We've avoided it long enough
Folks, it's time.
to stop hair loss in its tracks.
well, I think we really cursed it by talking about fins there at the end.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh god. Dread it, run from it. It is inevitable.
Honestly,
It's time for him.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, folks. Potentially good that we can record this one during the holiday hiatus.
Yeah. Very good that we
Yeah.
could record this one during the holiday hiatus.
Well,
Or at least prepare for it.
Be prepared. Alrighty.
I'm excited because I like
I'm excited.
Spinosaurus.
I am too. I realized I was killing time because James normally does the outro, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I'm doing it. Well, I know you guys have been waiting with bated breath for this fortuitous time to come, and it has come. And if you want to talk about it with us, then you should join our Discord. And how do you join our Discord, you might ask? By becoming one of our patrons. Okay, so I will be thanking by name our very generous patrons of Gorgosaurus tier and higher. And those would be insert nickname, Benjamin Seepser, Philip Fico, Christopher Bellis-Jones, Aaron Anderson, Adamolos, Blacklight Virus, Black Spectral Pig, Camphibia, Chaotic Kaiju, Dinodom, Kevin Preem, King Zashu, Life Finds a Way, Ryan Wants to Die, The Wigster, Touch Connors, Wanderer, and Wheat. Thank you all very, very much for your continued support of the Skeleton Crew. No, not the Disney one. We really, really appreciate your support, and we couldn't do this without you guys. So I hope you all are ready for our first 6-hour video. I know that it's going to be big of a jump up from our 3-hour video, but
So that we're waiting a long time to make this video.
Oh yeah, me too. It's going to be a fun time. Absolutely. All right. See you then, everybody.
Ta-ta.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.